Can we give Poet and Brian another round of applause? So as a tribute to their bravery and getting in front, this is an easy thing to do. And so we want to recognize both Poet and Brian with a couple of certificates. So I'm going to ask you all to come back to the stage just for a moment to be recognized.
Appreciate y'all.
It's all yours.
All righty. I know we can do better than that. Let's give them a real warm round of applause. Yes, indeedy. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our poets keep coming on. Yes. And that feels so good to me tonight. I hope it feels as good to you. Yes. Yes. There was a question asked of the Red Cross during the 9/11 incident in America. And the question was, when you receive calls, what was most of them about? Well, it wasn't about necessarily the horrificness of what happened, point by point. It was more about just sharing the story, having someone to talk to. And that's what our poets do for us. They encourage us to talk about us, about our purpose and our future. And that's what we're celebrating here this evening. Another round of applause for our student poets. Now what we're going to do is switch on over to some fabulous seasoned performers, and we're going to start with Michael London. He has been called the Gil Scott-Heron of this generation by Cornel West. That's no small compliment. And also some of his quotes. I'm just going to do two of them, give you two. Open your eyes and see, all you have is all you need. Justice is what love looks like in public.
How y'all doing? Okay. I feel completely honored to be in this space. Much love and respect and all praise due to Baba Haki Madhubuti for Third World Press. If you don't know, you should know, get to know. That history, that legacy is the reason I'm standing here today. And yeah, I'm extremely excited. And thank you to Pilar and this space. My name is Malcolm London. I'm a poet, I'm an MC, a rapper. I'm from the west side of Chicago. You know. Okay, squad, I feel you, know what I'm saying? Cool, all right, yeah, all right, yeah. So, I love that part of the city, as you know, like I love the rest of the city. But that's where I'm from. I'm gonna read a couple poems and talk about that. And just get right into it. This first one is more of oh, bless you. That was a little intense. The first one I'm gonna read is it's a eulogy for my uncle Billy Ray, who passed away about 3 weeks ago. And so, thank you. You know, but I think growing up in a city like Chicago, we don't, Gwendolyn Brooks has a poem where she states, or quotes, you know, how unlikely it is for us as black folks to see each other grow until our hair turns white. And, you know, being in a city like Chicago and in a moment like this one, you know, being able to see folks grow old and live full, beautiful lives as you know, the missing I will feel him. It's also a very warm feeling to see, especially when You know, some of your cousins and your friends may not make it there and often do not. So, thoughts after my Uncle Billy Ray died last week. There is famine, and there is war, and there is disaster at every coast. There is bloodshed, and there is money, and there is confusion. There is no way of knowing if anyone will miss you when your body turns to ash. There's earthquake, and there's heartbreak, and there is no Richter scale for their comparison. There is death, and there is no way to deal with how heavy it feels. And there is my father. And I've known him to be a strong man, and I've known this all my life. But I know there are things even he can't carry all by himself. He's lost a niece and 2 siblings and a best friend. And I've never seen him cry, but I know his spine aches. I read books and I write poems sometimes, and I write raps and I watch Netflix and I teach kids and I stop lying to women sometimes. And I think about the world a lot and its problems and how I can help in some tiny way solve them. And I don't know what I'm doing most days. And most days I don't know how strong you have to be to deal with depression and death and trauma and headlines. But I know my daddy's strong. And I know when I try to hold my head high while singing about how the world don't revolve unless it's spinning on someone's finger, I can still hear my Uncle Billy's laugh in my father's voice. I done seen his smile in my daddy's smile. I done seen the police kill someone on a video camera and I cried. Had a big brother get shot 5 times and I did it. Had my woman leave me and I definitely did. I am learning that everything that don't bring tears still bring a whole lot of hurt. I mostly heard my Uncle Billy Ray's laugh come through a speakerphone on my daddy's phone. And it always sounded like thunder. I guess that's why my papa feels so responsible for holding on to all this heavy rainfall. There is weather and there is family. Whether there is sun or whether there is storm, there is always family. Before my papa taught me my name, he taught me that. And I wonder about the children my uncle left, Carrie, Jada, Justin, and Candace, and if they know their daddy was strong too. And I'm no meteorologist, but I often heard my daddy and my uncle roar each other's names, making me know all us children share some kind of heaven and some kind of sky. I want them to know that there is death, but there is love. That there is cloud, but there is heaven somewhere. There is, I know it. There is family, even when the weather don't permit. And we are there, like this sorrow, but much stronger. Cool. I've dropped, for maybe my younger folks on the spectrum of life, I dropped a project called Opia back in October of last year. You could download it, Spotify, SoundCloud, etc. And if you know any young people in the city that are high school students, I run an open mic with a good friend of mine by the name of Chance the Rapper, and it is October 16th, and all high school students are welcome in that space. So I'm gonna spit a verse real quick, if that's cool. Yeah. This world built by men for men to protect them. Holy war say amen with aggression. Throwing money out of pocket, getting it intercepted. Kaepernick could stand and never get respected. They were writing history books down in Texas. See, they systems getting bigger when you asking questions. Who am I to call myself a blessing if the God in me is constantly getting arrested? Malcolm X factor is not a factor to them. Tried to turn Malcolm X in a cast, but they not well equipped. This to the car that I almost crashed, to the 2 daughters I almost had, to my brother who almost died. I see you crescent when they say you eclipse. I see your pain and it hurt. Bag lady, see your pain in your purse. Bag lady, see your pain and it's worse when you the only one that's putting in work. A woman was killed up on a red line because she ain't want to talk to you dudes. So now I got to talk to you dudes. The darker the berry, the darker the sentence. Potential presidents, financial sense on apprentice. Love, Trump, hate, unless you born with no gender. The gay agenda is just trying to be alive. More men afraid they some will wear a dress than address how we die. Yeah, my heart was big until they broke it. Misty Copeland on my toes, going in circles, sipping bourbon, writing in cursive, trying to find my love. But at least I found my purpose. I see your pain and it hurt. Bag lady, see your pain in your purse. Bag lady, see your pain and it's worse when you the only one that's putting in work. I died back in 35 during the market crash before World War II. Rewind to a better time. It's all certified from Le Cordon Bleu, cause I've been cooking for a while now. Black chef in the kitchen full of white smiles. I too sing America, so don't tell me to pipe down or sit at the table my granny had to wipe down. Forget a system lest it come with sound. Look at all the dead bodies laying on the ground. But still we rise like Maya Angelou. Step outside playing D'Angelo. Chicago smile for Timbuktu. Not many avenues for us to live up to. So what you want? Benjamin or Aretha Franklin? Respect on your name or a couple green faces. Cool. This is my last one. I am extremely excited to share the stage with Jessica Care Moore. And Ugoji is a longtime friend and organizer. And so I'm also excited to see her. So again, thank y'all. This is my last piece. It is called When Black Boys Are Killed on the West Side, a Rebuttal. And I want to say one thing before I get out of here, is we are in a moment where very racist and ignorant and terrible people still think that when a black person is murdered by police, whether in a prison cell like Sandra Bland or in the middle of a street like Mike Brown, they still feel the need to defend these tragic actions. And the number one thing that they often reply to when we stand in our citizenship and say, hey, people we give our taxes to, why the hell are you killing us so frequently and so much without accountability? When we deem the right to question that, there are still some folks that go, well, what about black on black crime? As if a paid servant that is, paid to protect the law is at the same standard as someone who grew up in poverty that they did not create. I think that doesn't match up. Also, this narrative of black on black crime, we have to ourselves especially get rid of. Particularly not because black folks don't harm other black folks. We know that, we live it, we've known it for a while. But that is more due to the fact that we live in poverty, that we live near each other, that when someone who is, I believe in the narrative that hurt people, and if I'm hurt and I hurt somebody, I'm not gonna drive on a red line to Howard and go to Evanston and release my anger. Am I not? I'm gonna harm the people I live next to. And Chicago has a deep history of segregation in this city. And so I say to those people, black on black crime is a myth. And it is how we talk about it that is a myth, not in its actual existence. And you don't hear any other, first thing first, there's more white people in America than anybody else. It's true, whoop-de-doo. And by that, by the stats of the Department of Justice, more white people commit more violent crimes than anybody else. That's factually true, just by the sheer numbers. Yet we don't talk about white-on-white crime or racialize any other violence except when it comes to us. And so what that does is continually perpetuate a stereotype that we, as black folks, are more prone to violence than anybody else, when that's not true. That the violence in our neighborhood happens because of capitalism, because of racism and institutional racism, And when people use that narrative, they absolve themselves of the responsibility, as if violence in Chicago is just a black thing. When they say it should be a universal thing, and it leaves us on our own to deal with it when really, the fault of why it happens. Anyway, I'll continue to read the piece. Thank y'all. Yes. This is my last piece. When a black boy is killed on the West Side. Oh, also they say it as if people haven't been working. Like Third World Press hasn't been out here trying to educate young people in our communities. Like there aren't activists and generations of black arts movements in this city that have been around talking to our people and working. As if we not out here trying to save our people, right? Like that also, well, what about black on black crime? Well, we doing something about it. What you doing? So when a black boy is killed on the West Side, the first responder is late. The first response isn't anger. No one to protest. No one to be in opposition of. Only the uncrumpling of hollow. No black Paul Revere shouting, "The Klan is coming, the Klan is coming." No rifle to grab or curtain to peek through. No ice bucket challenge. Only bucket boys sounding another funeral procession. When a black boy is killed on the South Side, there is no time to waste cleaning up the blood when you are building trauma centers in your own living rooms. Trying to, the windows drilled shut, trying to repair what is gone. There is no time to waste finding out who done it. Your grandma will have her suspicions. She will suspect whom she always does, the devil, and throw her hands up to God and whisper worship into her pot of greens that she cooked for the repast. The teleprompter won't mention how she stacked memorials in her apron. Won't call that activism. When a black boy is killed on the West Side, we don't blame a loose bootstrap. When America stole the boot, when aunties still sell food stamps for winter shoes, when a black boy is killed on the West Side, there are no marching orders, no camouflage in a neighborhood of mirrors, no revenge to claim, no class action suit, only organizing for class action. When a black boy is killed, there is and always, forget the police. When a black boy is killed on the West Side, we conjure up a shredding of kin, replenish the pantry ransacked since the days our granddaddies were sharecroppers. We plant seeds of a shared crop. When a black boy is killed on the West Side, the first response is the forest trying to convince the axe it is wood. It is the pot calling the kettle black. It is the pot calling, screaming, "Stop! We are both burning." Thank you.
Malcolm London. Please give it up for Malcolm London. I know too many Michaels. That's what that's about. But the teaching that went on in his poetry was absolutely phenomenal. So I really want each and every one of you all to stay and be a part of the Q&A. And the beauty that he brought out was the understanding of how many generations that have been a part of this resistance of colonialism and this resistance of white supremacy. And I appreciate that, Malcolm London, and I might be saying Malcolm all night. Malcolm London. Give him another round of applause, please.